on a special episode of Quality Digest Live. We're at the Coordinate Metrology Systems Conference in San Diego, where in a few minutes we'll be joined by incoming CMSC chairperson Ron Hicks.
Plus there's planes flying over and all sorts of great stuff. We're not too far from the airport, actually. That's or right. from a naval air base.
That's right.
For that matter. Also, this week, today, we're going to take a look at the U.S. manufacturing industry. Are we taking it for granted? And we'll find out all about that and more when we come back.
This week's sponsor of Quality Digest Live is Capture 3D, the exclusive North American provider of GOM's innovative ATOS and Tri-Top non-contact 3D metrology and inspection solutions.
Well, welcome back to Quality Digest Live for July 24th, 2013. QDL is your weekly look at who and what is making the news in the world of quality. I'm Dirk Ducharme, Editor-in-Chief of Quality Digest.
That's right, and I'm Quality Digest publisher Mike Richmond. So, first off in the news this week, of course, is the 29th annual CMSC.
We're
happening right here, right now, at the lovely Sheraton San Diego Hotel Marina. As usual at the show, we've seen a lot of great new technologies, listened to some cutting-edge technical presentations, and spoken to many of the leading minds in 3D metrology. There's an important first here at CMSC 2013. After many months and years of preparation, the Coordinate Metrology Society is officially rolling out its Level 1 Metrology Certification Examination. Now, again, for the first time ever, there's a personnel certification that validates metrologists' knowledge and skill. A Level 2 pilot examination is also being introduced, specific to portable coordinate measuring machines. Later in the show, we're going to be talking to incoming CMSC chairperson Ron Hicks to find out more about this brand new certification, as well as looking ahead to the future of the CMSC and the industry in general. You know, I'm looking forward to that because Ron has long experience with CMSC, right, and he's got some interesting perspectives, not only in what the certification's about, but where the industries come from, where the organizations come from, where it's going to be going in the future. So
right, and as we've talked, and Ron will touch on this when we bring him on the show in a few minutes, but as we've had Randy Groover on the show several times, I also talked to him earlier in the day, and he says this is just fantastic. He says one of the most interesting things about getting the certification program together is how all the competitors of equipment are working together to come up with test material, test techniques. How are they going to verify that a student is at the level of knowledge that they need, cognitive knowledge, as well as hands-on skill. And they just had a meeting, and I think it was St. Louis, and he says there was like 15 different people from all these different competing metrology companies coming together to try to figure out how to make this work. It's really actually, in a way, it's really an extension of what the CMSC is all about.
The spirit of the CMSC,
if you've never been to the CMSC, part of what the CMSC is all about, I mean, it's a trade show, sure, and there's 3D metrology equipment from all sorts of different companies, but one of the main things you'll always see here is there is really this expectation that everybody is here to work together to advance the field of 3D coordinate metrology, and everybody works together. The seminars and the breakout conferences are just absolutely, fascinating, even if you aren't a metrology geek. I mean, they're just kind of the case studies and stuff they do are just really fascinating.
And they always appear in the Journal of the CMSC, which we produce each year, twice a year, so look for that too.
That's right. Well, here's a slightly different metrology story. Congratulations need to go out to Hassam Mohammed Salih. The University of Huddersfield metrology instrumentation designer completed his doctorate, won a national award, and is now embarking on a project to bring a patented product to the market. Mohammed is like, I've seen pictures of him. He looks like he's like 21, but I think he's actually closer to 30. So quite an accomplishment for this young man. Mohammed Salih is the recipient of the 2013 Postgraduate Award from the City of London's Worshipful Company of Scientific Instrument Makers.
Wow.
Yes, that's a mouthful. And what did he get the award for?
What did he get the award for?
Well, he has created a product with his coworkers that is already revolutionizing embedded surface metrology. The product is a new optical interferometry system for fast aerial surface measurement of microscale and nanoscale surfaces, and it's immune to environmental noise. And we'll get back to that in just a second. It uses wavelength scanning interferometry together with an acousto-optic tunable filtering technique to measure surfaces with large step heights, and that's kind of the key to this product. The system can be used for online or in-process measurement for assessing a wide range of surface textures. It's actually pretty amazing. The system has the potential to achieve nanometer measuring accuracy on manufacturing shop floor systems. So what makes this actually fascinating is this is surface measurement at the nanoscale level and not in a lab. Yeah. This is a shop floor, or is intended to be a shop floor instrument. And it's because of his techniques, the filtering techniques that he has, that has enabled him to, him and his co-workers, to come up with a device that it actually works on works on surfaces that don't necessarily have to be super shiny. A little background on this. A lot of surface measurement equipment can measure down to very fine surface roughness, but typically it's limited within a very fine range. So the other thing that's unique about this is that the finished design of his product is going to be able to measure surfaces up to hundreds of microns. The new optical interferometry system attracted considerable attention when it was unveiled at the European Society for Precision Engineering and Nanotechnology exhibition in Berlin in May 2013. So the idea behind this, as I understand it, is typically with surface scanning, when you get down to the really, really shiny surfaces, you can measure for roughness at the nth degree, but it has to be within a very small range. So if you have a very smooth surface and then it has an out of the ordinary rough spot on it, it's out of range for the device. Exactly. This is actually an expanded range on very polished surfaces, and again something that can operate on the shop floor.
Very useful.
Yeah, it is very useful.
Very practical. Unlike some academic developments and breakthroughs, it's very, very useful for industry.
They're already on the way to getting this patent and out there on the market. So once again, congratulations to Hassan Mohammed Salih. Great work, man.
Always looking to those new breakthroughs. Okay, finally in the news this week, according to a recent Gallup poll, is one key element that separates great companies from good ones, and that element is employee engagement. Of course, the benefits of an engaged workforce are many. More innovation, better esprit de corps, fewer turf battles, less turnover, the list goes on and on. Gallup's findings here are very revealing. Within the U.S. workforce, truly engaged employees make up only 30% of the whole, but for the best performing companies, that number doubles to 63%. So the question, of course, is why? Well, I think there's kind of a chicken and egg scenario going on here. Are the companies great because the people are engaged, or do great companies naturally attract and cultivate engaged people? I don't know, but it's probably a little bit of both. There are 4 key areas in which these best-in-class companies demand better than average engagement from their workforce. I'm going to read them off to you quickly here. The first is strategic and leadership philosophy. Next is accountability and performance. Third, communication and knowledge management. And fourth, and most importantly, I think, development and ongoing learning opportunities. So they're giving their people an opportunity to grow, and that obviously is going to make somebody very much more engaged. So, for more on this story, including details about how good companies can increase employee engagement and take the leap to greatness, check out the story link just below the video player screen. And as always, in fact, all the stories that Dirk and I are going to be covering on today's show can be found right down there, so check them out.
Right, and actually something, Gallup has done several studies on this idea of employee engagement, and you have to kind of look up what they mean by engagement, but in kind of in rough terms is you can do your job, you can even do it well or to spec, let's say, but if you're not really engaged, if you're not, and by engaged, it involves not only, cognitive engagement, but emotional engagement with your job. If you don't do that, then turnover increases. Just because you have an employee that can do their job and do it well doesn't mean you're going to keep them.
Yeah, and
they have to want to do the job.
And you got to challenge them too. You got to have that excitement to want to do better.
And room for advancement and so forth. Otherwise, you aren't going to keep them. So look up more stories. Actually, just if you Google Gallup engagement studies, you'll actually find several studies on
a lot of stuff there. Yeah.
All right. Well, we want to take a few minutes right now to find out about what is new at the CMSC this year. There is at least one exciting thing going on, and here to tell us about it is our guest Ron Hicks, CMSC chairperson for 2013 and 2014. Ron, why don't you go ahead and have a seat, man?
Ron, thanks for joining us.
Hey.
Thank you for having me.
No sweat. So let's get right into it. This is the first year for the Level 1 certification.
Absolutely, very exciting.
So tell us about what it is. This is for portable. This is for portable 3D measurement, right?
For portable 3D measurement. Going back several years, 5 to 6 years, some of the industry basically wanted to know where can I get certified operators of this type of technology, and there was a need. So CMSC stepped up, and said that we're going to start a program and work with the industry leaders to develop a certification program that users of the technology, whoever they work for, can become certified. And it's a very, very certified by an institution, if you will, so they can do their work and basically work for their companies or other providers to make sure that they're good level grade operators. Yeah.
Okay.
And before, I mean, how was this done before? I mean, I guess it'd be tribal knowledge, it would be passed down within the organization, not very really well organized.
Tribal knowledge, or you're basically doing it on faith.
Yeah.
I mean, you could send somebody to do a job, a measurement job, if you will, and somebody's paying a lot of money, and you may not get the quality that you paid for. So that's a problem.
Yeah. Now the Level 1 certification is basically knowledge, right?
Right.
What do you know, or about what techniques and setup and all that sort of stuff? Or
CMSC assembled 20 of the industry top minds, if you will, and basically said we want to put together a test criteria, and they came up with I don't know, a 200 line test that basically goes through all the attributes required for somebody to go off and do this work. And we're actually deploying that test today, this week.
That's right. You got your first people. So you've got some people who've already completed it?
We've already completed, I would think, 4 to 6 tests. We've already gotten the results back, and everything looks promising. We've gotten some very good feedback. So we're very happy about that.
Now the next step is actually a practical test, right?
Yes. Plans are for hopefully next year that we can roll out tests that include the actual equipment. So we're starting with the portable CMMs, or the arms, if you will, and we're actually going to develop a test where operators can come in, measure an artifact that we know exactly what the measurements or the design should be, and we'll test them on their abilities to measure that.
And that was what I was alluding to earlier. That was part of the meeting in St. Louis, was to work on the level 2 certification.
The level 2 certification. Yes, we had probably 20 people, experts in the field, who basically traveled to St. Louis on their company's nickel and participated in a 3-day skull session on how should we do this. And it was very, very productive, and we're seeing the first result of that meeting this week.
Okay. So let's put this in context with industry. So now what's going to be is you're going to have a 2-level certification. So you're going to have somebody certified with their knowledge, and then you're going to have a practical certification with their hands-on skill using an arm. So for industry now, somebody who's certified to that, somebody who wants to hire somebody, an operator, is going to know really well that that person coming in is going to be able to step on the floor first day and be able to measure accurately.
And that's the hope. There's also one other component. We're actually checking people's references. In order to do this, you actually have to fill out an application, have people vouch for your skills and abilities, and these people actually, basically write up a expose of what this person can do, if you will, and they send it in, and it's reviewed along with the test.
So for you run a metrology services company.
I do.
Right? Okay. So what does this mean for you kind of personally or at a business level, having this kind of certification out there?
Well, as a service provider, we send people all over the world to do contract measurement work. And my customer wants to know that I am sending qualified personnel that he knows that they're going to get what they're paying for. And obviously we want to do that. So in terms of being able to have a certified operator, to me, it's very, very comforting to know that if I have operators that are certified, I know and my customer knows that they're getting a person that can go in and do the work as needed. So it's very huge for me in the service industry to have certified operators. I think all service providers will do this and take advantage. So it's going to be big.
Just one last question. I mean, obviously we're at the CMSC show, a lot of 3D, portable 3D equipment here. You've been working with portable 3D equipment for how long?
30 years.
30 years. So what changes have you seen from 30 years ago to now? What's kind of the biggest change that you've seen in those 30 years?
As computers have gotten better, powerful, faster, it's enabled this technology to grow. Plus, as we've grown, we've brought in some tremendous minds into this industry. The people here are so smart and so willing to give upon themselves. So just the technology has allowed us to bring in, this unbelievable technology.
Yeah, great stuff. And we've been here ourselves now for, I think, 8 years, Dirk.
And we've seen
a lot of development ourselves in accuracy and development in the industry itself.
Right, and I think one thing that's interesting, you mentioned computers, and I think that was one of the biggest things, is what I've heard a lot of people say is just, sometimes you just need, for a lot of this 3D computational stuff, you just need brute force. I mean, it's very iterative, and the software is going through millions of cycles of one particular type of calculation.
Right.
But when you got computers running at 3 gigahertz, what used to be impossible, or would have taken days for calculations, take just seconds.
Exactly.
It really opens up the field. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. You couldn't have done the kind of stuff we're doing with point clouds.
No way.
10 years ago, even, or 15 years ago.
Well, not even that long ago. We're doing things today that we couldn't do 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's just progressing exponentially.
All right. Think about the next 5 years. I mean, you can't even imagine where we're going to be in terms of the accuracies and the type of measures we're going to be able to do.
I'm excited to find out how that's going to work out. I think it's going to be a tremendous next few years.
Yep.
Well, Ron, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for joining us.
Ron Hicks, chairperson of 2013-2014 CMSC.
CMSC, right. Thank you very much.
We look forward to working with you closely in the next year.
All right.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks, Ron.
All right. Well, keeping it with U.S. manufacturing for a moment, manufacturing in general, I'm going to cover a story now, and not necessarily regarding to CMSC, but of course in the industry. Are we taking U.S. manufacturing for granted? A.J. Sweat was the author of this article. It appeared in Monday's issue of Quality Digest Daily. A good piece by A.J. Sweat. We run a lot of articles from A.J. Sweat.
He's a good writer. Yeah.
Really good writer, really practical writer, and has some approaches that I think all of us should consider. In this particular article, he's talking about taking things for granted, and it kind of comes naturally to us as humans, I think. The analogy that he uses is that of the wheel. He says, you think about it, the wheel is so ubiquitous in society now and in industry that we take it for granted. We think that it's everywhere, it'll always be reliable, and it's invisible. And not only in terms of like cars and trucks, which is the obvious place where you see the wheel, but in anything, in mice, right? In computer mice, or in anything, clocks, anything that's mechanical is going to have some sort of a wheel, a circular device in it. So we take that for granted. Now, manufacturing is like that. It's the same exact thing. We take it for granted very easily because it's ubiquitous. It used to be that as a U.S. society, we were very hands-on. We built stuff, right? And building stuff was kind of what we did, but we fixed stuff too, and we were really kind of all manufacturers, every single one of us, and we weren't that much removed from it, right? If something went wrong in our house or on our farm or whatever, we just fixed it. We didn't have to call in a specialist necessarily, right? So we understood the way stuff worked. We understood the intrinsic nature and the value of how that works. So, but then I think what happened is we became much more specialized. We lost many of those more general skills. People like publishers and editors came to be, and we got a little bit away from manufacturing. Manufacturing became like a function of craftsmen, a tradesman, a discrete trade that those of us who are just normal rank and file people don't really do very much of. So the consequence, we don't understand it, and because we don't understand it, we kind of forget about it. We take it for granted, and that's exactly what AJ is talking about here. Is American manufacturing is such a part of our culture, and it's become such a part of our growth as an economic power. We talk about it a lot, how it's going away, but it really is still here. It's still right there. The analogy that AJ Sweat uses was the wheel. But for me, there was a better and starker analogy, and I thought about it from the perspective, and Ryan Day will love this, I thought about it from the perspective of the industrial food system. It's the same exact thing, you know. Generations ago, we all made our own food. We grew it, or we killed it, or we raised it, we did whatever we did, right? But now, who makes their own food, right? You know, Ryan cultures cheese. How many people do that, right? I mean, we buy our food in a store. You know, we don't slaughter animals anymore, it's slaughtered for us. So it's the same thing, we take it for granted. It's ubiquitous, it's easy in a sense, it's cheap, maybe in a sense. So because of that, we don't see it for what it is. We don't understand the value that goes into that. The value in creating our own food because it's done for us. It becomes a service done by somebody else. Again, I think it's the same exact thing with manufacturing, right? I mean, wouldn't you agree? I mean, it's become something that other people do for us. We pay a small amount, maybe. I mean, again, it's like, what are true values, right? I mean, what does true cost really mean when you factor all the costs into something like an industrial food chain or manufacturing? We take it for granted, we think it's cheap, and we use it. But if it's out of sight, it's probably out of mind. What AJ's saying here, though, is it shouldn't be. We need to understand the value of manufacturing. We need to understand what it really means to build something and create it or fix it, rather than have somebody else do it for us.
So, I mean, what's he suggest? So, basically, he set up the problem. He says we're too far removed. We don't understand manufacturing.
Right.
We don't understand anything, basically, than our own job. So, okay.
You know, I think his perspective, he doesn't really offer a remedy for it. He just says this is the situation. I think what he's saying is we need to think about it. We need to understand what's going on here, and because it's invisible and because it's taken for granted, we lose sight of it. We don't understand what's really going on behind the scenes. But when we embody it, we keep it fresh and alive in our thoughts, that's really the first step he's recommending.
Okay.
I thought about it from this show, and I thought, well, you look around at all these vendors back here, right? All the people that are at the show, at the technicians, at the users of these technologies, and you'll see that they understand the importance of manufacturing stuff, right? I mean, the nature and the importance of doing what they do, which is building something, of creating solutions, of increasing efficiencies, reducing waste, and improving quality. They understand it. Because they do it.
Because they do it, right.
Right. But the rest of us need to get into that. The consumers of us need to get into that. And, you know, you learn about the products at a show like this, and of course this year's show is no exception, but I think that we need to do it every day, not just when we come to a trade show. We need to think about what really goes into making the stuff that we use in our lives.
I agree. I agree. I'm not sure how you do it. I mean, we become so specialized. You know, I mean, you see things like, you know, they take the kids to the farm to see, oh, you know, this is where eggs come from, this is where milk comes from, which I guess maybe helps.
It helps, yeah.
I mean, in manufacturing, I suppose there's a certain amount of that going on where high schools and vocational schools and junior college are, you know, and we've had it here at the CMSC where they've brought in high school students just to show them, hey, did you even realize this kind of stuff existed? Yeah. I guess that kind of thing helps and kind of addresses what Sweat's talking about, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I don't know if there is an answer to it, but I think that a story like this just helps us keep it fresh in our minds, as AJ Sweat suggests, and I think it's good that we give thought to it, and I appreciated it for the perspectives we talked about. Okay.
All right.
So check that out again. Story links below the flyer page. All right. Well, we're going to move on. We had a great tech quarter. Dirk, you recorded a tech quarter yesterday.
Yeah.
With the guys at Capture 3D.
Sure. One of the fun things about coming to a trade show, and particularly CMSC, is there's always all sorts of really interesting equipment here. So yesterday we went over to the Capture 3D booth. Capture 3D is the exclusive distributor for GOM products. And they had a brand new product they want to show us, which is the ATOS core. We shot a little video that we recorded, and we'll show that to you right now.
Take it away.
We're at the CMSC, the Court Metrology Systems Conference in beautiful San Diego, and we're at the booth of Capture 3D. And with me right now is Johan Gout, Director of Operations for Capture 3D, and you're going to be telling us all about a brand new product from Capture 3D. Is that right?
Yes, I am. I'm going to tell you about the ATOS core. But if I could take a minute to give you, an idea of the background of Capture 3D?
Absolutely.
So 15 years ago, Rick and I started the company with a premise that when you look at the product development cycle, it basically has the concept, the design, the manufacturing, and the service or the maintenance, repair, and overhaul. And the idea was if we can provide an accurate and rapid as-built condition that the customer could then use to verify that their processes are correct, that would be of value to help shorten the overall product development time and time to market.
Okay.
So with that, basically what we're able to do is to scan the part, compare it back to the CAD model, and this idea that we do a full field measurement gives you this color map, gives the end user the information that he knows on what he needs to do with that part to get it into spec, or if his manufacturing processes are correct.
Okay. Well, let's take a look at the ATOS core.
So what we actually have running here right now is the ATOS core. It's the 300 series. And what we're scanning here, Dirk, is we're giving a demonstration where we're showing the blade being scanned by the core, and we've got it set up on a rotary stage, and then we also have what some people might have seen before is this reference frame. And this reference frame makes the scanning simple and easy because I don't have to prepare the part, put any targets on or anything. I can actually drop the part in, start the routine, have it rotate, and take measurements.
Oh, and the reference frame is giving the information back to the software of the orientation of the blade. Is that
the orientation of the blade, and more importantly, the orientation of each scan.
Okay.
So by having that reference frame, it's automatically merging scan to scan, and we'll actually see that on the monitor when we take a look at that.
Okay. And what's this the ATOS core? I'm sorry, apart from your other triple scan?
Yeah. So the great news is the ATOS core is our newest product line from GOM in Germany, and what's really nice about it, it's at about a $45,000 price point, and it's allowing these customers who haven't been able to experience the data quality of the ATOS systems an opportunity to get into the system and be able to actually enhance the product if they would like, with capabilities like the triple scan capability, and then be able to go, if they necessary, up and upgrade through the higher ends of the product.
Oh, I didn't realize that. So the core is actually a product that can be built upon? Is that?
There's functionality that can be turned on in the system to actually build upon its initial configuration, and then we actually offer a retractive upgrade if they want to move up to the compact scan or the triple scan.
Okay, now you mentioned GOM. So I mean, you guys are a distributor of GOM, is that right?
Yeah, correct. We are the exclusive North American representative for the GOM measurement products.
Okay, so in terms of pricing, how is the core positioned with your other products?
Yeah, so the core, as I mentioned, we come in at a $45,000 price point, and then we actually have the triple scan, could be $195,000 or so, and then if we do it with the automated solutions, with robots or motion control, we kind of go from there.
Okay.
So there's quite a range now based on having the core as a product.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about the software that would go with this.
So the software that comes with the core actually does the scanning, the merging of the scan data, and the STL generation for the data. And then what you can use is the free GOM software for inspection, and for people needing more robust inspection capabilities, there is the ability to get the professional inspection software that allows them to do what we call a parametric inspection, to where you're doing repetitive inspection and things like that.
What if you already have inspection routines that have already been written? Do you have to reprogram the core to do that, or can they be brought in, or how does that work?
Yeah, the good news is if you have some inspection plans that have already been written, we can typically input the data points that you're looking to measure or the features you're looking to measure and incorporate that into our inspection plan. We can then deliver, if somebody just wants as kind of a standard CMM type of report, or what we like to deliver is the full color map reports where we're actually showing more information and more what's going on with the part.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about the software.
Okay. So what we're actually doing, just so you know, we're kind of running this demo script where it's a live demonstration of the scanner scanning. So you'll see the scan, you'll actually see the data go into place, and you'll see the automatic merging of the scan data.
What's this in the upper left corner?
That's actually the live video from one of the cameras that it's seeing as it's scanning. It's maybe a little hard to see, but you can actually see the fringe patterns placed on there. And then you'll see the new data come in the scan in the bottom when it's done. And what we've got here is, believe it or not, is just 8 scans on a rotation table, and after this next shot, I think it's the 8th scan, you can see the amount of data that we have on the system. And then when Devin's going to go ahead and bring up the full measurement, and this is actually the 3-dimensional scan data. It's not a CAD model. And if Devin rotates, you can see the fidelity of the data. And then when Devin actually clicked over what he actually had on already, this would be another example of the color map comparison. So I've laid the CAD model, so my design intent, I've laid the scan data on top of it, where it goes from yellow to red, I'm outboard CAD, and where it goes blue to dark blue, I'm inboard.
Okay.
And then what we have on top here, Dirk, is we have some industry-specific modules, and this one is the blade module, to where we have the ability to go ahead and take the key measurements in a pretty automated fashion and extract them from the scan data. And the great thing is, once you've created this for one of your profile measurements, you can actually save it and then apply it at different areas on the blade.
Okay.
And we also have a similar type of a module for the sheet metal industry, for example.
Okay, great. Well, Johan, thanks for showing us the ATOS core from Capture 3D. I appreciate you letting us come by your booth.
Okay.
Well, there you have it, Dirk. Hey, I love when you throw it to yourself, Dirk.
Throw it to myself.
Back to you, Dirk.
Back to me, Dirk.
Yeah, really good tech corner there, though. I mean, the Capture 3D guys, Johan, we're going to see another Capture 3D tech corner a little bit down the line, a couple months,
a couple weeks, yeah.
And I guess, have you liked doing those?
Yeah, that's fine. This show's great for just new stuff, so I got to go around and visit the rest of the booths and find out what else is going on.
What else is going on, that's right. All right, well, that's our show for the week, but before we go, we'd like to again thank Capture 3D, who not only provided that very fine tech corner and the ATOS core, but is also the sponsor of today's show. Capture 3D is the exclusive North American provider of GOM's innovative ATOS and Tri-Top non-contact 3D metrology and inspection solutions. For more information on Capture 3D, just click on the banner ad just below or just to the right of our video screen right down there. And as I mentioned, you're going to be seeing more from Capture 3D in the coming weeks as well, because you recorded yesterday.
Not just one.
Not just one, but two great tech corners from Capture 3D. We did another one on the Tri-Top, so look out for that on a tech corner coming up in an upcoming episode of Quality Digest Live.
That's right. Well, our time is up here on Quality Digest Live, and almost our time is almost up at the CMSC.
CMSC, that's right.
It's been a great show.
Yeah.
Once again, thanks for Ron Hicks for joining us on the show to tell us about the Level 1 certification, which has just started first time, started yesterday, running today, and also the upcoming Level 2 certification. So if you're into 3D metrology, you want to get certified, go to the CMSC website at cmsc.org and look up, there's a link there actually on certification, I believe, and contact them and find out how you can sign up to get your Level 1 certification.
That's right, you can do it.
That's it.
So thanks again for joining us. You all have a great week and a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
So long.
Bye.